Deep in the woods of New England lies the rotting shell of a building few dared approach, Blackwood Asylum. From the early 1900s until its sudden closure in 1968, it was home to thousands of patients. But locals say it was less a hospital and more a house of torture, where medicine ended and madness began. Even now, those who pass near the ruins claim the air feels heavier, the silence unnatural. Some whisper that the cries of the dead still echo through its empty halls. Blackwood opened in 1908, promising modern treatments for the mentally ill. But overcrowding soon turned it into a nightmare. Patients were crammed into rooms with broken windows, chained to their beds, and left to scream through the night. Doctors prescribed insulin comas, ice baths, and lobotomies as if they were routine. One nurse's diary, recovered decades later, painted a horrific picture. They are no longer patients. They are test subjects. I hear the drills. I see the blood. I pray someone will stop Dr. Whitaker. Dr. Leonard Whitaker, the asylum's head physician, was notorious for his obsession with purging madness. He believed pain itself could cure her. His experiments left countless dead. Their deaths, of course, were never recorded properly. In 1934, Blackwood was rocked by a chilling event. 17 patients reportedly vanished overnight. Staff claimed they escaped to a forest, but search parties never found a trace. No footprints, no torn clothing, nothing. One guard, before taking his own life years later, confessed to a friend that he had seen Dr. Whitaker leading patients into the basement that night, and that they never came back out. Locals believed the basement was a secret laboratory, where Whitaker carried out his most disturbing procedures. But when the asylum finally shut down, those rooms were sealed with concrete. In 1952, a fire broke out in the West Wing. Oddly, there was no lightning, no faulty wiring, no source investigators to confirm. Yet dozens of patients were trapped inside their locked rooms. Witnesses outside heard them pounding on the walls, screaming for release. When firefighters arrived, they claimed the flames burned hotter than normal fire. So hot that in some rooms, nothing was left but ash. And yet, in other rooms, untouched beds still stood with sheets folded neatly. The official report called it an accident. Locals called it a curse. After its closure in 1968, Blackwood became a magnet for thrill seekers. Most never made it past the gate. Those who did came back changed. In 1997, a group of college students broke in. One girl later described hearing metal wheels squeaking behind her, only to turn and see an old gurney rolling toward her on its own. Another swore he saw a man in a doctor's coat, standing at the end of a hallway. When he called out, the figure tilted its head, and the skin of its face peeled away like melted wax. In 2012, a paranormal team recorded voices in the basement. On the tape, one phrase repeated again and again. Whitaker still waits. Today, Blackwood Asylum stands as a skeleton of stone and rot. The basement remains sealed, but some believe that's where the screams come from on cold nights. Visitors report the overwhelming stench of burning flesh. Even though the fires were extinguished long ago, locals warn. If you enter Blackwood, don't answer the whispers, because they say Dr. Whitaker is still there, and he's always looking for new patients to finish his work. On the outskirts of a small North American town stands a decaying monument to horror, Ravenswood Asylum, once built to treat the mentally ill. Today, it is nothing more than a silent ruin. Yet when the wind cuts through its broken halls, strange whispers echo, as if unseen voices still cry out. Locals believe this is not just a pile of crumbling bricks and shattered glass, but a cursed prison, still holding the souls of those who perish within. Ravenswood first opened its doors in 1912. At the start, it offered ordinary psychiatric care. But as the number of patients grew uncontrollably, the doctors turned to cruel and inhumane methods. Patients were chained for days, fed scraps of food, and subjected to endless electroshock treatments. The most infamous of them all was Dr. Harold Mason. He believed that the only way to cure mental illness was to cut away the dark part of a patient's mind. His secret surgeries left dozens dead on the operating table. Their deaths were covered up with simple lies on paper, natural causes, but the truth was far more terrifying. One night in 1943, flames erupted in the asylum south wing. The fire spread so quickly that many patients never escaped. 70 lives were claimed that night, or so the official records say. But firefighters later insisted the number of bodies didn't match the list of missing patients. Some were simply gone. Rumors grew that the fire wasn't an accident at all, but the catastrophic result of Dr. Mason's twisted experiments. After the fire, Ravenswood was abandoned, but the building was far from silent. At night, people reported seeing lights flickering through the broken windows. Others swore they could hear screams, the echoes of patients burning alive. One elderly woman recalled walking past as a child and seeing a charred figure at the window, begging for help. She blinked and it vanished. Daredevil teenagers who snuck inside told the same chilling stories. Unseen hands shoving them, wheelchairs rolling on their own, and faint laughter seeping from the walls. In 2009, a group of paranormal investigators entered Ravenswood with cameras and recorders. What they captured was beyond explanation. Their audio devices picked up the chilling voice whispering, "Leave now." He's still here. On video, at the far end of a corridor, a tall, shadowy figure appeared, its head tilted unnaturally to the side. At first, they thought it was the spirit of a patient, but later, one member of the team began suffering terrifying visions. In his dreams, he saw Dr. Harold Mason standing in a blood-stained surgical gown. That investigator eventually lost his sanity, repeating the same words over and over. The fire never ended. They're still burning inside. Today, Ravenswood Asylum still looms in silence, its broken windows staring back at anyone who dares to look. Locals warn, if you step inside, you may not be alone. For some believe Dr. Mason still wanders those dark corridors, continuing his experiments, and you may become his next patient. In the heart of a small American town lies an unsettling silence. Even today, the mere mention of one crumbling building is enough to send shivers down the spines of locals. Its name, Shadow Meadows Asylum, once a psychiatric hospital. It was suddenly shut down in the late 1960s. Since then, it has stood abandoned, a rotting monument to pain, whispers, and something far more sinister. But why was it closed so suddenly? And why do so many believe the souls of its victims still wander its decaying halls? The asylum opened its doors in 1924 with promises of modern treatment for the mentally ill. But behind those locked doors, a much darker truth emerged. The chief physician, Dr. James Carter, was said to have conducted horrific experiments on his patients. Electroshock therapy, illegal surgeries, and dangerous chemicals, all carried out in secret. Many patients never left the building alive. Locals recall hearing chilling screams echoing from the asylum late at night, desperate cries, the pounding of fists on walls, the tortured voices of the forgotten. Fear spread through the town, and families became terrified of sending their loved ones there. On a freezing night in 1967, Shadow Meadows suddenly shut its doors. The official explanation? Lack of funding. But locals tell a very different story. That night, the entire building reportedly went dark. Electricity cut out. Then a chorus of blood-curdling screams erupted from inside, dozens of voices crying out at once. When police entered the asylum at dawn, they found empty rooms, yet streaks of blood dragged across the floors, stretching down endless corridors. Not a single body was ever recovered. It was as if the patients had vanished into thin air. After its closure, Shadow Meadows became the town's most haunted place. Strange lights flicker through broken windows at night. In the stillness, whispers float through the air. Help us! Visitors report shadowy figures moving in the hallways. Wheelchairs roll on their own. Rusted surgical tools rattle without warning. And doors slam shut as if unseen hands are still guarding the asylum. The most terrifying legend is that of a woman's voice. If you linger too long inside, you may hear her cry in your ear. Many believe she was one of Dr. Carter's patients, killed on his operating table, now forever trapped between worlds. Not long ago, a group of young YouTubers decided to spend a night inside for a ghost hunt. Their cameras caught something chilling, a tall, black shadow standing behind one of them. before vanishing into the darkness. In another clip, a hospital bed can be seen, its sheets slowly rising and falling, as if someone invisible was lying there. One member of the group had to be hospitalized afterwards. He claimed that Dr. Carter himself appeared to him, whispering that he was next. Standing before Shadow Meadows Asylum today, a cold dread still creeps into your bones. Its walls are silent now, but many believe the cries of the tortured still echo within. The question remains, do the spirits of Dr. Carter's victims ever find peace? Or are they still wandering those endless halls, waiting for the next visitor?